So in chapter 3, we have learned the world as an impure fact. Now let's take a look at chapter 4 about the karma, because we know that an effect cannot be without a cause. Therefore, we continue in this chapter to examine the direct cause of samsara, of the world, which is the karma, the actions of sentient beings. Let's first take a look at the types of actions. We have a variety of actions in this world, but in general we say there are two kinds: the volitional and actions produced through volitional. And these actions together give rise to the variety of the world. This is a fundamental point of view in Buddhism, and it differs from views of outsiders. For instance, some outsiders, they believe that the world and everything is born without a cause. They just happen, they just come naturally, like the sunrise, the sunset, the flowers, the river flowing, and everything like that. Just everything come or happen naturally. There's no any cause behind. Therefore, there's no need to explain. And we have some other outsiders who think that everything in the world is born with a particular permanent cause. We have a creator for different things. For example, they believe in Mahaswara Deva, or maybe a single god that they say we have to worship or pray to in order to be saved. According to Buddha, we created our own samsara. We created our own reality by our own actions. That is an essential and fundamental teaching in Buddhism. If you think that a view on emptiness has nothing to do with karma, then you probably have to rethink. Because a view, no matter it's a right or erroneous view on emptiness, is also a kind of action. It's also related to karma, because we usually start from views. From views, we cultivate practices, and from practices, we will either move towards the direction of liberation or not, if it starts from wrong views or wrong practices and so on. So the idea is, when we transmigrate in samsara, it is due to our impure actions. If we want to stop samsara, then we need to cultivate good and eventually pure actions. If we want to be born in Buddha's Pure Land, well, we need to accumulate Pure Land actions. So it's either karma for samsara or karma for liberation. It's our choice. It's on our own hands. About the categories of actions, they're either volitional or actions produced through volitional. So this volition we have explained earlier. This is one of the 10 generally permeating mental factors, and it's of course it's also associated with our consciousness. We sometimes call it the mental karma. It is the driving force behind our behaviors, our speech, and everything. And then we have actions produced through this volition. So it can be what we do with our bodies, that's the bodily actions, or what we talk, our speech, that's the vocal actions. And each can be informative or non-informative. I guess we have mentioned this concept earlier, but let's try to explain a little bit more about the informative, and afterwards we will understand the non-informative actions in this chapter as it relates more to disciplines, indisciplines, and so on. First, let's take a look at the informative actions. That's what we do or what we say. And according to Substivada, the bodily informative actions are visible forms, or more precisely, they are shapes in nature. So the shapes of our walking, or the shapes of prostrating, or of killing, and so on, that is a bodily informative action. And the vocal informative actions, what we say, they are sounds of speech. So others can also know our intention from what we say. And that's also what informative means. People might get to know your intention from what you do or what you say. Then we have this non-informative action. But before that, I have to mention this, that Sautrantika, they do not agree with the view of Substivada when it comes to the informative. The Sautrantika scholars, they would say that these bodily or vocal informative actions, they are triggered by our volition, but they're not material, they're not visible forms or sounds at all. They are still volition in nature. So this all is established in our mind or related to our consciousness. That's a very big difference from Sarvastivada. About the non-informative actions, or what we call the avishnapti or the unmanifest, we have a few doctrinal scripts that Sarvastivada uses to affirm the real existence of such. Because the view of Sarvastivada is that they say everything, all conditioned factors have their real existences across the past, present, and the future. That's their fundamental view. And that, of course, includes this avishnapti. And they found some text of Buddhism in a way to prove this view, that non-informative actions do exist as real entities. The first one is about the three types of rupa. As the sutra says, we have three types of rupa, three types of materials. Visible and resistant, like a stone, a wall, a table, and so on. Invisible but resistant, it's like our sensing faculties, our eye, our ear, nose, tongue, and body, the sensing faculties. And the sutra also mentioned this invisible and non-resistant rupa. Sarvastivada says, okay, this invisible and non-resistant rupa, it means non-informative action. The next doctrinal script Sarvastivada refers to is some quote on pure rupa as undefiled precepts. Sarvastivadian scholars say that is also non-informative actions. It cannot be anything else. The third one is about truly productive merit that would continue to increase even when someone is during his or her sleep. And then Sarvastivadian scholars say, how would that happen? How could that happen without existence of non-informative actions? It can only be possible with the existence of non-informative actions. The next one is about the unperformed karma. For example, if you encourage someone else to kill someone, to kill another person, so although you don't do the killing yourself, still you will produce bad karma for yourself. And Sarvastivadian scholars say that can only be possible in the presence of non-informative actions. And the last one, they often quote to confirm the existence of non-informative actions, is a monk whose mind is distracted will not lose his precepts. Again, they say, this is only possible in the presence of non-informative actions. Otherwise, a monk cannot do that. About the distraction of mind, what kind of mind can be called a distracted mind? We have discussed in chapter 1 when it comes to the properties of Avishnapti. And I would like to mention a little bit more about the third one, the truly productive merit. I'll just give you 2 examples. Like if you offer to the temple, or if you offer to the Sangha, or the sick people and so on. Yeah, these 3 examples can be truly productive merit. And the sutra says, the merit of this kind will continue to increase even when someone is sleeping. So these doctrinal scripts, Substivada or Substivadin scholars very often quote to confirm the existence of non-informative actions. However, Sautrantika has a different position, that they do not agree with this. They think there is they don't think there is a real existence of non-informative actions. They are just concepts. Then what about these 5 doctrinal scripts? How do you explain them? If you ask Sautrantika scholars, they will give you totally different explanations. Like the first one, the 3 types of rupa, the invisible and non-resistant rupa. What is that? They will reply, well, that is the clean material or the clean rupa manifested in meditation. As it is not seen by our eyes faculties, it is invisible. And it is not obstructive to other things or to places, so it is non-resistant. That's how they understand it. And the second one about the pure rupa, so similarly it's the clean rupa manifested in pure samapatis, where the noble beings abide in. And the third one, truly productive merit, like someone offer to the 3 juries and to the Sangha and so on. The Sautrantika scholars say that is because the reason this kind of merit would continue to increase even when you are sleeping is because there is a karmic power. It has a karmic power that would perfume one's continuum with a latent tendency to ripen in a later time that will give an effect in future lives. And the next one about unperformed karma, that you incite or encourage other people to do good or bad stuff, and then you will have that corresponding karma as well. The Sautrantika scholars would explain, very similarly as above, that contains a karmic power that will have a tendency to ripen an effect in future lives. And the last one about a monk whose mind is distracted will not lose his discipline. According to Sautrantika, that is because although his mind is distracted, he's not really focusing or have a clear mindfulness on his own discipline. The right mindfulness, however, still exists, just in a hidden way. It's not gone. So his discipline will not be destroyed or will not lose. That's different views from Sautrantika. Let's take a look on some other qualities or properties of this non-informative action. As we already know that they are produced by the 4 primary elements, as we have discussed in chapter 1. And the meaning of that verse regarding this Avishnapti is that they still exist when this Pudgala is distracted in mind or in a state without mind, and this Avishnapti is good or bad in nature, produced by the great elements, and these are called Avishnapti. That's what we have learned already in chapter 1. And we just need to know also that this non-informative action is actually non-appropriated. So what does it mean by saying that something is non-appropriated? Well, Avishnapti is a derived rupa or material, but exempt from mass. So it's not really an accumulation of molecules, or so it's not integral, and it is not integral to any of our sensory organism. It is not part of our eye faculty or our ear, nose, tongue, or body sensing faculty. So it is not a support as well for our mind or mental events. It will not feel pain or pleasure. It is non-resistant. You cannot say to someone that, okay, let me cut your avishnapti in your continuum, and then you will feel pain or pleasure because of that. It's not going to happen. And also, this non-informative action is uniform outflow, is an effective uniform outflow, except for the first pure moment, of course. And I bet you know why. Because the first pure moment, the moment before that is impure. So a pure moment can never be a uniform outflow of an impure moment. So they're just not the same kind. And this non-informative action is never non-defined. It's either good or bad. Therefore, it's not an effective retribution. An effective retribution is always non-defined. And also, it is not as because they're not material aggregates of atomic particles. Therefore, it's therefore not an effective accumulation as well. It is not possible for a monk to have his discipline enhanced or weakened just by having better or worse food, or having better or worse sleeping quality. That doesn't make sense. And then this non-informative action belongs solely to living beings. Needless to say, because otherwise, if other things like the mountains, the rivers, the stones can also have this non-informative action, then they can also be ordained as a monk, which is impossible. If we look at the categories of this non-informative action, there are three types in general: the discipline and indiscipline, and neither discipline nor indiscipline. And the disciplines can also have three categories. The first kind is about the pratimoksha disciplines. All disciplines are good in nature. Let's keep this in mind. And the first kind is the pratimoksha disciplines. They are disciplines of renunciation in the desire realm. One actually must have this mind of renunciation. And that's a mind willing to escape, to exit, not just the desire realm, of course, but willing to exit all three realms. One must have this kind of mind to really obtain these disciplines. And it has, we can say it can be categorized into 4 groups and 8 types in total. Of course, it is not enough to have such a mind. We also have to do this. This can only be obtained from a Dharma master, or maybe a Sangha, depending on which kind of this discipline we're talking about. For those that applies to lay Buddhism, to lay Buddhist, a Dharma master that is qualified would be enough to do it for this lay Buddhist. But if it is pratimoksha of this discipline for an ordained monk or for a nun, that would require a Sangha. So the first group is the pratimoksha discipline for upasaka or upasika, meaning the male or female lay practitioners. Then they need to follow these 5 rules. They need to say no to killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and the intoxicants. And by intoxicants, we mainly refer to the alcohol. And the second group is the pratimoksha discipline of upavashasta. That's the practitioner of the one-day fast. In addition to the 5 above, in addition to saying no to the 5 above, such a practitioner has to also reject adornment and singing, high beds, as well as eating after the noon. And then we have this group of discipline for Shramanera and Shramanerica. That is the novice monk or novice nun, or including as well as the Shiksha Mana. That's the Bhikshuni in training. So these people, they should, in addition to saying no to the 8 above, well, we split the adornment and singing into 2 rules. So we have 9 now, and then plus saying no to handling money. They are not allowed to handle money. So we have 10 rules, or 10 forbidden things to do for these people. And the last group, the strictest group, is the discipline for bhikshu or bhikshunis. They are fully ordained monk or nun, and they have complete restraint from all bodily and verbal transgressions. There are 250 rules for bhikshus and 348 rules for bhikshunis. The reason that apart from the Shramanera and Shramanerica, the novice monk or novice nun, there's a separate group of people called Shiksha Mana or Bhikshuni in training, is that there was actually a story behind this. A very special reason. Because once there was a woman, she was very determined to follow Buddha, and then she got permitted to enter the Sangha and actually be ordained as a nun. However, after a while, people see that her stomach, people see that she has her belly was growing, and obviously she was pregnant with a baby, and then some unpleasant words started to spread inside or outside the Sangha. They also got a lot of critics from outsiders. For this reason, Buddha made an additional rule, and that is called the rules for Sikshimana, for Bhikshuni in training, and those female novice nun, they are normally required to wait 2 years, or to follow the rules or the disciplines for Sikshimana for 2 years before officially ordained as a nun. And the consideration behind that is obviously, in addition to practicing the disciplines and so on, hearing or reflection on Dhamma as well, it's also a period of observation in case someone is accidentally pregnant. And we know you cannot ordain a pregnant woman in that way to be a nun. So these are pratimoksha disciplines. 8 types, 4 groups. Then we have a principle that is important to keep in mind, that these different kinds of pratimoksha disciplines can actually coexist. If you receive a later or higher discipline, that does not automatically cancel a previous one. For example, a bhikshu who abandons his bhikshu disciplines for some reason, but that doesn't mean his upasaka, or his novice monk discipline will be gone. He would still retain his novice disciplines. It's still there. So they coexist. So the above are the disciplines the first kind about the Pratimoksha disciplines. Then the second type of discipline that is good in nature is dhyana disciplines. These kind of disciplines arise with the attainment of concentration or dhyana meditations. And we have to mention that this kind of attainment is through mundane path, not through the noble, the pure path. Because if you obtain a meditation through the noble, through the pure path, then the discipline is not called dhyana discipline, but the pure disciplines that we will explain later. So, for example, if a human in the desire realm, he cultivates meditation, let's say the first dhyana, or maybe the preparatory concentration, which is also fine. When he has obtained that meditation, he will also have this kind of dhyana discipline. And the third kind of discipline that is good in nature, well, we can also say that is they're the best because they're pure disciplines. And this kind of discipline arises only with the supramundane path and possessed only by noble beings. And they're acquired naturally when a person enters the noble path. A noble being with, for example, a stream enterer or once returner, non-returner, or an arhat, they will be naturally away from bad actions due to the power of such pure disciplines. So apart from discipline, we also have indiscipline. So no matter discipline or indiscipline, or the next one called neither discipline nor indiscipline, we are talking about their non-informative actions in the different natures, of course. So the indiscipline, for example, a butcher who slaughters animals every day, and in his mind he is actually determined to do this for the rest of his life, then he has got this indiscipline, which is bad in nature. Then we also have the last kind of non-informative action, that is neither discipline nor indiscipline. They can be good or bad in nature, but the difference from the previous two is that they are temporary and they work for a limited period. An example could be that if you promise a butcher that you will help him slaughter animals for a fixed term of 100 days, or 3 months, or whatever, a fixed term, temporary, not for the rest of your life, then you will get this type of neither discipline nor indiscipline that is bad in nature, of course. Or if you keep praying or offering to the 3 treasures for 1 month or a fixed term, you will get this neither discipline nor indiscipline that is good in nature. Because it is related to good actions. So for now we have explained and we have supplemented more information and with more details about this non-informative action, which is closely related to our disciplines or indisciplines and so on, meaning they are very much related to our morality practices. Next we will continue with how these different kinds of non-informative actions, or the disciplines, indisciplines and so on, how do we acquire them, or how can they be abandoned?